What's going on, guys? I'm looking to buy my very first apartment complex. I have multifamilies, I have single families, I have light industrial buildings, but this will be my very first apartment complex. I just went by and looked at it in person today, and I'm glad I did because this is what I found. Let's dive into it. Hey guys, if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is William Dauria. I am a full-time real estate investor. I bought my own financial freedom by age 32 years old. I still do this. I build up my portfolio so I can in turn give back to those in need. Buy affordable housing and free charity flights for kids with cancer. So today I am looking at, or I just looked at, I should say, my very first apartment complex. It was a 29 unit apartment complex. I found it on a site called loopnet.com. That's loopnet.com. It's where, not all, but a lot of the commercial like apartment complexes go. A quick side note on that: if you're interested in looking for an apartment complex, call some of the brokers and tell them what you're looking for, because they'll send you some off-market property deals that nobody else can see in your area. Okay, so literally just call a couple of brokers, say, hey, this is kind of what I'm looking for. Do you have anything for me? This is how I found this property. It wasn't even on LoopNet. I called a broker, and that broker sent me to a different site, and this is how I found this property. So when I get there, I'm very glad I actually drove up to this property and looked at it in person, because I was kind of like, well, I don't know. The numbers are kind of off, mainly because the property is so mismanaged, like really mismanaged. Really bad. We're gonna go into that. So check this out. I get there, I show up, it's on the highway. I don't mean like it's off where you can see it. It's on the highway. Like you exit and then you just pull into it. Like I was like mind blown. Like this land value alone has got to be close to what the purchase price is. They want, they're asking 1.8 million. It's a 29 unit. But I did drive in the complex and I'm looking around and I see some broken windows and I see some toilets just sitting outside and the trash is overflowing, and I'm like, okay. I kind of see what's going on, right? So here's the thing. I stopped by and I talked to some guys that were sitting outside, smoking a choice of herbs. And I pull up and they're rolling and doing their thing, kind of hanging out. And so I'm chatting with them and I told them, hey, I'm interested in buying the place and I might be your new landlord, right? And that blunt all of a sudden disappeared really quickly, right? I thought it was kind of funny, right? Like, I'm not gonna boot him out just for that, but nevertheless, as soon as I mentioned landlord, he's like, whoop, no, this is nothing. And we started talking. Super cool guy. He actually let me inside. Here's the thing, guys. This place, they only told me on paper that it has 1 2-bedroom. And I walked in, this was a 2-bedroom. I go, you must have the only 2-bedroom here. He goes, no. And I go, wait a second, whoa. You're telling me there's more 2-bedroom apartments in this 29 unit? Because on paper it only says there's 1 2-bedroom. He goes, yeah, there's several of them. Cha-ching. I'm like, okay, well, if there's several 2-bedroom apartments, why aren't they saying that in the disclosures? Because that is a huge value add. When I think they're 1-bedroom, they're really 2-bedroom. That's a difference of $900 a month and maybe $1,050 a month, $1,100 a month, whatever your area recommends or demands. So I get there and I'm chatting with them and we're talking about this and that, and the guy goes, yeah, and they're charging me $1,000 a month for my 1-bedroom upstairs. And I was like, really? Because the highest rent that they showed me was about $650 to $700. So I'm like, why are they charging you $1,000? And this is why you talk to people. He goes, well, they know that me and my homeboy are felons. That's why they're charging $1,000 a month, because they know we can't go anywhere else and just get an apartment because nobody else is going to take us. I was like, okay. Now I'm kind of getting into the nitty gritty. I'm figuring out who are my tenants, why are they there, what are they paying, why are they paying it, what amenities are included, not included. And I asked him, hey guys, what do you think about, the property management right now? And he goes, what property management? I go, the on-site manager that they told me that they're paying for. He goes, you ain't got no on-site manager. Okay. what about the on-site guy that fixes everything? And he goes, that guy is never around, and we can't get a hold of him anyway. So I was like, okay, when they say mismanaged, this place is grossly under mismanaged. And then he told me this. He goes, and the other month, we had a bad freeze here in North Texas in 2021, like bad, like the worst ever, at least on record. And it froze pipes everywhere, right? Anyways, they were out of water, no gas for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Now, I'm sure, and I don't deny that there was a problem. I don't deny that there was an issue. But to take 2 weeks to fix it, and they didn't have to go into every unit and do something. It was like they had to go do something outside to fix, whatever. I'm not a gas guy, a gas line or water line person, but nevertheless, it was outside the complex, the issue they had to fix. They had to get there. I would have definitely called an emergency, got it fixed, and got it done. They lived there for 2 weeks without water or gas, guys. That is insanity, okay? And the fact that there's anybody there anymore is really astonishing. And oh, by the way, I'm using a different camera mount. I just rigged it up. It's totally not the way it's supposed to go on my window. So if it falls off randomly, that's why. Okay, so, and then not only are the rents higher than they're supposed to be, which is another great perk that you would think that they would mention. They said the highest rents were about $700. This guy's paying close to $1,000. But the window that I mentioned that was broken has been broken now for 3 years. I know you're probably about to think I was going to say months. 3 years that window has been broken. And when I say broken, guys, I'm not talking like a crack or a spider web. Broken, like you could stick your arm and your shoulder in this window. It's been broken for 3 years. So I already know the inside of that unit is probably trashed. All the rain in Texas, the rain goes like sideways with the crazy winds here, right? So I know that unit is trashed. Obviously, there's nobody who lives in it. I hope. Oh my gosh. So I know this place is in some serious rehab. They also said needs rehab. They also said that there's 5 vacancies. There's actually 10. Because they said people are literally moving out over the weekend, like still actively moving out. And he pointed to one door. He goes, this person just moved out yesterday. I'm like, man, so all the financials that I was just looking at over this property, the time I got done analyzing them and then I went to the property to look at the property has already changed. Like, that's how fast this place is, I don't know, like falling apart basically. I don't really know, but it just needs new managers. I need to go in there. I need to rehab every single unit and then bring rents to where they're supposed to, and maybe sift through some of the riffraff if I find some in there to encourage them to go somewhere else. So I also asked the guy, hey, what would you do if you were me, right? Just to kind of see what he says. I understand, he's not buying apartment complexes and all. He goes, it's funny. The answer he gave me was not the answer I wanted to hear, but I just wanted to kind of see what direction he's going. And he goes, if I were you, man, and I bought this place, I'd just tear it all down. I was like, oh, okay, well, let's just keep talking now, because now I'm a little bit even more interested, right? And he goes, I gotta tell you a story. My buddy the other day was going to the bathroom, right? Sitting on the pot. And there was a hole in his wall right in front of him, right? And I was like, okay. And he looked up, and all of a sudden, what did he see? He sees 2 eyes. It was a raccoon. It was like, rah, right outside of the hole in the wall, right in front of him going to the bathroom, right? Like in his own bathroom with the door closed. Him and a raccoon, basically, right, from the inside of the wall. So I'm like, okay, so we got a pest issue. We obviously have hole issues as well in some of the units. He was nice enough to let me walk into his unit. Like I was saying, besides the fact that it smelled like a choice of herbs, and I'm not into that. So when I walk in there, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, oh my gosh. The place, it was not rehab, but it wasn't bad either. The floors has been done probably in the last 10 years. The wall paint was terrible, but it's wall paint. There was no cracks in the wall. There was no water damage. This is all the stuff I'm looking for. I don't care about him and the way he lives. And I didn't feel any foundation movements. So basically, I'm going through, I'm talking with the tenants, I'm figuring out the current condition, how they're liking it, what's the common issues, and basically getting a real gist of it, because when you talk to tenants, they are going to tell you things that the broker and the seller will never ever tell you. They will never tell you that window's been like that for 3 years. They're not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you about a potential plumbing issue. They're not going to tell you about the AC that hasn't been working for the last 5 years. This place has had central AC, except for it hasn't been working for about 5 years, and everybody is running off of window units. Okay, so, and this is an all bills paid minus electricity, and it was minus electricity and something small. Nevertheless, as a landlord, I'd be paying water, which is common. I'd be paying water and trash and sewer, I believe. So there's programs out there. I believe it's it's called the RUBS program. It's a utility payback program. Basically, what they can take is say the water has got no separate meters, because separating the water meters can be expensive, and the water cost monthly is only like $30 a door anyway, so the cost prohibitive. It's really not worth putting water meters in. But what you can do under this utility payback program is you can take the utility expense throughout the entire 29 units. And minus, if I have sprinklers and stuff, I have to take that into consideration, obviously. But you would divide it all up, and they would send out a professional-looking bill on a monthly basis that obviously fluctuates a little bit, like they kind of all do, or generally do, to kind of pay back the landlord for expenses that are being incurred like that. And the reason that's very, very important is not to obviously save the landlord a little bit of money on expenses, but it also immediately, the day you do it, raises that property's value, because it raises what's called the NOI, the net operating income. The higher you can get that net operating income, the more expensive your property's value is going to be immediately. You can even do stuff like $20 a month assigned parking, or apartment number 6, this is their parking spot, and it even says apartment number 6, and if anybody else parks there, get them towed. You know what I mean? And it kind of lets people know that, hey, this is my parking spot. I don't have to show up a certain time to get a good spot. I know my spot is always in front of my door, that kind of thing, right? Also, last thing, if you guys have hung with me, apartment complex financing is different. Let me explain. Okay, so generally you're going to go in with 20% or 25% down if you're not paying cash. Okay, if you're financing, you're going to go in with assuming 25% down. So they're gonna, now this might be a little confusing, so let me know in the comments if this confuses you. They're going to put it on a 25-year note. They're going to spread it out by 25 years, but you don't have 25 years to pay it. They're generally going to put it on a 10-year cap, okay? And I know that's not like the right term to use because I'm not a finance guy, but check this out. You only have 10 years to pay that note, but it's spread out over 25 years. You have two choices at the end of 10 years. You obviously don't want to wait till the end of 10 years, but at year 8.5 or 9, you need to be figuring out something. You need to either sell that property and get out from under it, because at 10 years, it's a balloon payment. If you keep that property, you have to pay the rest of that property immediately, or you just do a refi. Or for this matter, you do a cash out refi, because you have obviously stabilized the property. You've had it for 10 years almost, but you have increased the rents, you have rehabbed them, potentially, hopefully, and you have increased the NOI, the net operating income, substantially. So when you go back to the bank, you do a cash out refi, you will actually make money back in your pocket, more than what you paid for the property, and get to keep the property, and it's still cash flow. But I want you to let you know, they'll divide it by 25 years, but you only generally get 10 years to pay it, and then you've got to do something with that property. So, and most property buyers that buy these big complexes are not stretching it out over 10 years before they're doing a refi. They're usually doing what I'm going to do. They're going to get in, they're going to get it rehabbed, they're going to get new tenants, get rents to market value, get it stabilized. That means a little bit of time to show steady income, and then they're immediately going to go back to the bank, and let's just say a year, potentially, maybe a year and a half, could be a couple years if the apartment complex is a big size. A 29 unit, even to me, I'm a newbie when it comes to like apartment complexes, is super small. Like, I know the 29 unit is super small. One day I'm gonna have 350 unit apartment complexes, but this is the means to the next one, because I forgot to mention this. If you're still here, this is very important. I just learned this as well. banks generally will not talk to you about an apartment complex if the apartment complex you are buying doesn't equal your net worth or more. Okay, so if you want to buy a $1 million apartment complex and you do not have a net worth of $1 million, they generally don't want to lend to you because they don't have the collateral, if need be, to go after you because you don't have it to begin with. Okay, so if you're looking at, you know, a $40 million apartment complex like I'm going to own one day, and that's why I make this channel, so you guys can follow me on my journey and I'll explain how and why I'm doing everything so you guys can obviously come up yourselves, is one day when I own a $40 million apartment complex, it will be because I have built up a net worth eventually of $40 million when I buy it. Or I went in with partners, JV'd and all that stuff. You can do that as well if you have some partners that you can work with and such. And guys, if you're still with me, thank you so much for sticking with this video. I wanted to make this quick video on just the process I went through today, what I learned, what I saw from the banks, you know, what matches up, most likely what didn't match up, and why it's so important not just to go there, but to spend some time there, chat with people. A lot of people will be a lot more open and receptive than you realize, guys. Let me know in the comment below if you have any other questions that I can help answer, guys. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and until next time, I will see you on the next one.